morning class. Okay. Today is the fifth day of myself doing the chapter structure of atom. Okay. Today is 5th of August 2021. It is a Thursday and it is a morning class.
Yes, sir.
I have got one more class in the afternoon at 1:10. And in the WhatsApp group, I have been sending you the solved question and answers, short questions, short answers for the various chapters like environmental chemistry, P block element, hydrogen, S block element, and states of matter, gases, and liquids. So I have sent those question and answers to you all to go through them very carefully and prepare whatever you can understand from there. Okay. And when I do those chapters, okay, when I start doing inorganic chemistry, then the concept will be clear. Okay, so in the meantime, you try to get the answers from there and try to get whatever you can understand. Okay, whatever you don't understand, mark it and keep it there because that will be discussed when I start doing the chapter hydrogen or the P block element or the S block element or states of matter, gases and liquids or environmental chemistry. Okay, so that was regarding the different question answers which I have sent you. Now let us come back to the chapter structure of atom, chapter 2. Okay, now yesterday I had explained you till conclusions from the probability distribution curve of electrons. Okay, and there were the three conclusions made which were like this: the probability of finding electrons at the nucleus is zero. Definitely you don't find electrons in nucleus, and the probability of finding electron increases as we move away from the nucleus. That means at a distance of 0.53 angstroms, which is the Bohr's first radius, the probability of finding electron becomes maximum. And this radius will increase in integer whole numbers 1n, 2n, so on and so on. Okay. On moving farther from the nucleus again, the probability of finding electrons goes on decreasing and becomes negligible beyond 2 angstroms. So, since the atom of the size is very, very small, you can just imagine over here. If you are moving beyond 2 angstroms from the nucleus, then the probability of finding electron becomes less. It becomes very, very less. Okay, now coming back to today's class, I am supposed to explain you now the difference between an orbit and an orbital, one by one, point wise. It's a very important chart over here. Orbit, it is well defined circular path followed by electron around the nucleus. Whereas orbital, it is a region of space around the nucleus where the probability of finding an electron is maximum. And orbital is a concept where electrons are residing in three-dimensional space after the Schrodinger wave equation was solved, which resulted in wave functions psi and psi square, which helps us understand the probability of finding the electrons around the nucleus. So that is the orbital. Number 2, under orbit. Orbit represents two-dimensional motion of electron around the nucleus. It is only two-dimensional. Remember, it is only two-dimensional. Whereas if you look at orbital over here, it is a three-dimensional motion of electron around the nucleus. So this one is three-dimensional, whereas an orbit is only two-dimensional. Now, number 3, orbit. Number 3, the maximum number of electrons in an orbit is 2n square. 2n square. N stands for the principal quantum number. The third, under orbital, the maximum number of electrons in an orbital, any orbital, it is 2. If we have one s orbital, 2 electrons, px, py, pz, 2, 2 and 2. So that makes it total 6. So every orbital can accommodate a maximum of 2 electrons. But in an orbit, the maximum number of electrons which can be accommodated is 2n square according to the Bohr-Bury scheme, which we have learned in class 9. Number 4, an orbit is circular in shape. It is circular in shape, whereas orbitals have different shapes. For example, s orbitals, they will have spherical shape. P orbitals, they will have dumbbell shape, and so on. Okay. Number 5, orbits are non-directional in nature. Orbits are what? They are non-directional. They don't have a direction. Okay. But orbitals, except s orbital, are directional in nature, because the reason why except s orbital, only x orbital is non-directional, because it is spherical. S orbital is spherical in structure. Okay, whereas other orbitals, they are dumbbell or double dumbbell or more complex shapes. They are directional in nature. Now you can have a diagram over here. This is the concept of orbit. But if you look at the orbitals, S orbital, P orbital, or D orbitals. Okay, so these were some comparative differences between an orbit and an orbital. So this point number one becomes the definition for both orbit and orbital. So better learn it, okay, properly, because this will be asked in the objective compulsory part. Okay, now moving to the next part of our chapter. After the Schrodinger equation, we are doing the quantum mechanics, the quantum mechanical model of an atom. Now, what are quantum numbers? This is one big question mark over here for all of us. Let us see. The Schrodinger equation, wave equation, once it was solved by using higher mathematics, three numbers were what we call obtained, which specify energy. One of them specifies energy, size, shape, and orientation of a large number of orbitals present in an atom. This set of numbers used to describe the position and energy of the electron in an atom are called quantum numbers. So this is the definition of quantum numbers. Okay. Now these quantum numbers are an outcome of the solution of the Schrodinger wave equation. Okay, if we solve the Schrodinger wave equation using higher mathematics, it will result in the obtaining of three numbers which help us get an idea about the energy, the size or the shape or the orientation of a large number of orbitals present in an atom around the nucleus. And this set of numbers used to describe the position and energy, okay, of the electron in an atom are called quantum numbers. So that is the definition over here for quantum numbers. Now, there are basically four quantum numbers. The first one is principal quantum number. Next one is azimuthal, azimuthal quantum number. Next one is magnetic quantum number, ms. And the last one is spin quantum number, s. Principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, magnetic quantum number, and spin quantum number. Now, four quantum numbers can be used to completely 100% describe all the attributes. When I talk about attributes, I am talking about the size, shape, orientation, and the energy as well. Attributes of a given electron belonging to an atom. Now, these are number one, principal quantum number denoted by small n. The first one is principal quantum number, which is denoted by small n. I will come in detail to this after some time. Let me just overall summarize the various quantum numbers first, then we will come back to the main portion in this chapter. The first one is called principal quantum number. Okay, the next one, if you look at the next one over here, then number B, it is what? Orbital angular momentum. Orbital angular momentum. Orbital angular momentum quantum number. So orbital angular momentum quantum number. Okay. Now this orbital angular momentum quantum number, or it is called correctly azimuthal quantum number, denoted by small l. Small l. And the angular momentum is capital L. We'll come to the formula after some time very quickly. The number C. If you look at the third one, the third quantum number, it is called magnetic quantum number, denoted by, you can write ML also. ML, or sometimes we write, okay, ML, okay, that is just simply M also. Then number D, the electron spin quantum number, denoted by MS or simply S. Spin means what? Electron spin in two methods. One is clockwise, anti-clockwise, clockwise, this way. So half spin, another half spin makes a complete orbital with two electrons. So one electron spins in the clockwise direction, another electron spins in the anti-clockwise direction. So this is called spin. So this is designated by whom? By the electron spin quantum number, denoted by ms. So these are the four quantum numbers which are the outcome because of the solution of Schrodinger wave equation, providing us three numbers which specify gives us an idea about the specific energy, the size, the shape, and orientation of a large number of orbitals present in an atom. Okay, so this was about quantum numbers. Now let us move and to the next slide just to explain our idea and make our idea very clear about the quantum four quantum numbers. Now look at this chart very carefully. It is an important chart for all of us to understand. As I have told you in the previous slide, the four quantum numbers that describe an electron where in the orbitals are: number one is principal quantum number. The symbol for principal quantum number is n. The possible values of principal quantum numbers can range from 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, not a zero. Then the angular momentum quantum number, or it is called azimuthal. This one is called azimuthal. AZIMUTHAL. Azimuthal quantum number, denoted by the symbol small l. Small l. Its values ranges from 0 to n minus 1. N minus 1. Okay. Then the third quantum number is magnetic quantum number, ML. Its values ranges from minus L to plus L. Minus L to plus L. Okay, this you must remember. Very important point, because the magnetic quantum number is dependent on whom? Azimuthal quantum number. And finally, the spin quantum number, it is denoted by MS. Its values ranges plus half clockwise, minus half is anti-clockwise. So these are the possible values of the four quantum numbers that describe an electron. Okay, now let us go to the quantum numbers one by one in detail. Let us go to the quantum numbers one by one in detail. Now look at the first quantum number, which is called principal quantum number, denoted by small n. Denoted by small n. Now I've tried to explain in my own language over here the principal quantum number. Okay, it is quite differently written from the book, but I'll try to explain it by taking the help from the book regarding the equations over here. Now, principal quantum numbers are denoted by the symbol n. They designate the principal electron shell of the atom, the main shell. We know K, L, M, N. So this quantum number, for n is equal to 1, K shell; for n is equal to 2, L shell; for n is equal to 3, M shell; for n is equal to 4, it is N shell. So this is what I am talking about with regard to principal quantum number. Now, since
Excuse me, sir.
yes,
So,
yes,
so I've got one question.
yeah, ask, please.
So, you told about that KLMN cell, no, sir?
Yes, these are the
So
shells.
we couldn't go further if we have more atomic number, like so.
Yeah,
The
we can go. We can go.
KLMN is the last cell,
No.
or yes, sir?
KLMNOP, you can go. KLMNOP, you can go. Okay. But if you look at the total number
Yes,
of
sir.
elements in the
Yes,
entire periodic table, it is only 119. It is only
yes, sir.
119. So,
119.
119 discovered so far. And naturally, two or three elements have been synthetically man-made. Two or three elements have been manufactured or discovered. Okay, made by man, and that adds
Yes,
up
sir.
to 121
Yes, sir.
elements so far. Okay, now if you include this 121 elements and try to write down the electronic configuration according to this concept, then this n shell will make
Yes, sir.
at the most KLMN O will suffice. It will fulfill our demand to write the electronic configuration. No need to go beyond n
Yes, sir.
most of the time. Okay, are you getting it?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that clear? Okay, now
Yes, sir.
this is one concept which you have
Yes, sir.
learned already in class 8 and 9. But when you come to class 11 and 12, here I'll be teaching you the other method of writing the electronic configuration by using S, P, D, and F orbital. These are the orbitals. S orbital 1,
Yes,
P
sir.
orbital there are 3 of them, D orbital there are 5 of them, F orbital there are 14 of them. So this will complete the almost all the elements which we know so far. Okay. Now, shall we move further now?
Yes, sir.
Now, this
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
principal quantum number designates the principal electron shell of the atom. Since the most probable distance between the nucleus and the electron is described by it, so this is one important thing. Most probable distance between the nucleus and the electron is described by whom? By the principal quantum number. A large value of the principal quantum number implies a greater distance between the electron and the nucleus, which in turn implies a greater atomic size. Okay, so this is the first paragraph over here, just talking about the distance of the electron from the nucleus. Okay, from the nucleus, that is in the first paragraph. Now coming to the next part over here, the value of the principal quantum number, it can be any integer with a positive value that is equal to or greater than 1. The value n is equal to 1 denotes the innermost electron shell of an atom, which corresponds to the lowest energy state or the ground state of an electron. Okay, so it is very important over here. The value n denotes the innermost electron shell of an atom, which corresponds over here. That's which corresponds to the lowest energy state of an electron in the atom of an element. Now this is the second paragraph over here. So by the principal quantum number, by taking the help of principal quantum number, we can get an idea about the size, about the lowest energy state or the energy level of an electron. Okay, now moreover, I would like to tell you that the principal quantum number tells us or gives an idea to us about which shell which shell which shell the electron belongs to, which the principal shell the electron belongs to. Okay, now that is the most important information given to us by the principal quantum number over here, that is k shell, l, m, and n. Okay, now thus it can be understood that the principal quantum number n cannot have a negative value, so that is one important point, or be equal to 0. Okay, because it is not possible for an atom to have a negative value or no value for a principal shell. Okay, then when an electron is infused with energy, it can be observed that the electron jumps from one principal shell to a higher shell, causing an increase in the value of n. So whenever electron is jumping from the low orbital to the higher, it has to be provided with energy, then only it will jump. Okay, so if this is n is equal to 1, this becomes n is equal to 2, this becomes n is equal to 3, that means k or l or l. Okay, that is what I am trying to explain over here. So similarly, when electron loses energy, they jump back, they fall down into the lower shells, and the value of n also decreases. The increase in the value of n for an electron is called absorption. So if the value of n is increasing, that means electrons are absorbing energy, emphasizing the photons or energy being absorbed by the electron. Similarly, the decrease in the value of n for an electron is called emission, where the electrons emit the energy. Now this was the theory part about the principal quantum number. Now let me insert a slide over here to explain you in detail regarding the principal quantum number n. Now, as I have told you, the principal quantum number principal quantum number n, the first information which it is providing is the shell, the principal shell to which the electron belongs, which means whether it belongs to k shell or l shell or m shell or n shell, depending on the values of n is equal to 1, 2 and so on. Okay, that is the first information which is provided by the principal quantum number. Now moving to the next point over here, the principal quantum number, it tells us about, this gives us information about the energy of the principal shell, in which the electron is residing. For example, if we talk about atoms like hydrogen or hydrogen like atoms, then the energy of the nth shell, it has been formulated and it is given by a formula which was written or given by long time back by Bohr. You can talk about that, 4 pi epsilon 0 whole square multiplied by 2 pi square me4z square divided by n square h square. So this is the formula which helps us calculate or get the energy of the principal shell, the nth shell, in the nth shell. Now, after putting the various values, value of pi or value of permittivity of free space or value of mass of the electron, okay, charge, atomic number, okay, Planck's constant, value of n, it was simplified and the value of En was obtained as 1312 z square by n square kilojoules per mole. So this was the value of the energy of the principal shell which was obtained. But if you talk about hydrogen, if you talk about hydrogen atom, then this will be the value correctly. Okay. So this was the second information given to us by the principal quantum number, which is called energy of the principal shell. Now moving to the next slide, the third point, the third information which it is giving us, the principal quantum is giving us, it is called the radius, the radius of the principal shell. So what is the distance, radius? You know what is the meaning of radius? You know the radius center is here. So this is called the radius. So I'm talking about this radius. So if we talk about atoms like hydrogen and hydrogen like atoms, then the radius of the principal shell can be obtained by using this formula. Rn means radius of the nth shell. It is equal to 4 pi epsilon 0 n square h square divided by 4 pi square me square z, and it has been found to be, this you don't have to learn, its value has been found to be 0.529 n square angstrom divided by z, where z is the atomic number. Now for hydrogen atom, for hydrogen atom, the value of Rn, the radius, is found to be 0.529 n square angstrom. Okay, now please note that this 0.529 angstrom, it has been referred to as the Morse radius. It has been referred to as the Morse radius. So these are the three information which is provided to us by the principal quantum number. Now you got the idea, very brief idea. For n is equal to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and so on, the values, the shells to which the electron belongs is K shell or L shell or M shell or N shell. So that is all about principal quantum number. Now, my dear boys, let us move to the next quantum number over here, which is called azimuthal quantum number or orbital angular momentum quantum number, denoted by small l, English alphabet small l. Okay, so that is important. Put this in your mind properly. Okay, that is very important. Okay, just have a look at it. I'm just coming. Hello. Now this azimuthal or orbital angular momentum quantum number, if you look at it, number describes the shape. So this is all about the shape of a given orbital. It is denoted by the symbol, it is small l. Okay, this is small l, and its value is equal to the total number of angular nodes in the orbital. Angular nodes, angular nodes. A value of the azimuthal quantum number can indicate either an S or a P or the D or F subshell which vary in shapes. So the value of the azimuthal quantum number can tell us which orbital I am talking about. If the value of L is equal to 0, then it is the S subshell. If the value of L is equal to 1, it is the P subshell. If the value of L is equal to 2, it is the D subshell. If the value of L is equal to 3, it becomes the F subshell. Okay, so this tells us about the shells and their shapes. This value depends on and is kept by the value of the principal quantum number. That is, the value of azimuthal quantum number ranges between 0 to n minus 1. Okay, so if the value of n is equal to 1, then the value of L will be 0. Okay, then the subshell will be what? The subshell will be S subshell. Okay, this I'll tell you in the next slide when I explain you the possible combinations of the different orbitals. Okay, now for example, if n is equal to 3, the azimuthal quantum number can take on the following values. 3, no? N is equal to 3, so 0, 1 and 2. Okay, for n is equal to 3, the possible values of azimuthal quantum number are 0, 1 and 2. For when L is equal to 0, the resulting subshell is an S subshell. When L is equal to 1 and L is equal to 2, the resulting subshells are P and D subshells respectively. Therefore, when n is equal to 3, possible values are 3s, 3p and 3d. So that I will explain in the next slide when I discuss about the chart. Another example is here where the value of n is 5. The possible values of L are 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Count them 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 values. So this tells us about the number of values. This principal quantum number tells us about the number of values of L starting from 0. If L is equal to 3, then there are total values of 3 angular nodes in the atom. Now coming over here, I will introduce one slide over here just to explain you the azimuthal quantum number clearly. Okay, please pay attention. Okay, now have a look. This was azimuthal quantum number AZIMUTHL, azimuthal quantum number denoted by symbol L. This azimuthal quantum number, it also known as, remember, it is also known as subsidiary. It is also known as angular or subsidiary or secondary quantum number. Subsidiary or secondary quantum number. Now, the value of this azimuthal quantum number, it depends upon whom? This value of L depends upon the principal quantum number, the value of n. That is very important. Now, this value of L can have any positive values between 0 to n minus 1. That you have to keep in your mind. Okay, now you can talk about the permissible values of L, which are 0, 1, 2 up to n minus 1. Okay, now for this I'll draw a small diagram of a chart over here to explain you the possible values and the subshells. Okay, I'll divide this chart into two columns over here. The first column I will put value of L, okay, and the second column I will put the subshell. Okay, now for value of L is equal to 0, the subshell is S subshell. For value of L is equal to 1, the subshell is P. For value of L is equal to 2, the subshell is D. And for the value of L is equal to 3, the subshell is F. So remember, there is S subshell, there is one orbital. S subshell has one orbital. It has one orbital. P subshell has three orbitals. D subshell has five orbitals. F subshell has 7 orbitals. Okay. Now we know each orbital can accommodate how many electrons? 2 electrons. So you can get an idea from here only. How many electrons you can put in 3 orbitals? Tell me. If one orbital can accommodate 2 electrons, how many electrons can we put in 3 orbitals? Again, I am asking the question, if one orbital can accommodate 2 electrons, how many electrons can we put in 3 orbitals? Is it 3 into 2? How much? 3 into 2 is how much?
6.
3 into 2 is 6.
6.
And in 5 orbitals, how many electrons we can accommodate?
10.
10. 7 orbitals, how many electrons we can accommodate?
14.
14. So that is what I am trying to say. So the value of L tells us about what? The subshell to which the electron belongs. If the value of L is 2, then the subshell is D subshell. D subshell has how many orbitals? 5 orbitals. Now, let me explain this only by another diagram. Okay, have a look. S orbital is a one box. This is S orbital. Okay. Now p orbital, it contains three boxes. P orbital. This is p orbital, contains three boxes. The first box is px orbital, then py orbital, then pz orbital in the three axes, x, y, and z planes. Okay. Then the d orbital, it has five boxes. It has five boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. D, this is z square, dx square minus y square, dxz, dyz, and dzx. Okay, so there are five orbitals over here. This I'll explain later on in detail. Now, each orbital can accommodate two electrons. See, s orbital 2. P orbitals, there are three. P subshell, it has three orbitals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. D subshell has five orbitals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 and 10. So this is how you put electrons in the various orbitals. If you go to F orbital, it will have 7. F subshell, it will have 7. What? 7, what you call? Orbitals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So these 7 orbitals in the F subshell can accommodate a total of 14 electrons. So this is what I am trying to explain. So I revise once more. For the value of L is equal to 0, which subshell? Tell me.
S.
S. Very good. So you got the answer over here, S. For the value of L is equal to 1, which subshell? Which subshell? P. For the value of L is equal to 2, which subshell?
D.
D. For the value of L is equal to 3, which subshell? Which
F.
subshell? F. So what are these called? Subshells. What are these called? Subshells. What are these called? Subshells. Okay. Now, these are called subshells. These are called subshells. Now further, S subshell has how many orbital? S subshell has how many orbital? Look over here. How many orbital? How many orbital is this?
1.
1. Very good. S subshell, 1 orbital. S subshell, 1 orbital. P subshell, how many orbital?
3.
3. 1, 2, 3. So it has 3 orbitals. 3 orbitals. Okay. D subshell, how many orbitals? 1, 2,
5.
3, 4, and 5. It has 5 orbitals. 5 orbitals. F subshell, how many orbitals?
7.
7.
7 orbitals.
So 0.
So is this clear to all of you or not? Tell me. Is this clear?
So
The azimuthal quantum number is related to whom?
Yes.
To the subshells. And from the subshells, we come to know how many orbitals are permissible. Okay. Now, again, we can talk about if I have n is equal to 1, then it is L. L will be equal to 0. If I have got n is equal to 2, then it will have what? It will have two values, 0 and 1 for the L azimuthal quantum number. This I have discussed in the next slide. Okay. Now, have a look very carefully at the next slide. Okay. Just a second. Let me save this document first, otherwise it will not be saved. Now moving and looking at the next slide, my dear students, have a look very carefully. Yeah. Now these are the possible combinations of the principal and azimuthal quantum number. It's wonderful. This is the best chart which I have discovered so far. Okay, which I have found for you all. It is very, very easy to understand and systematic. Okay, principal quantum number, this one, all these are what? Principal quantum numbers. Okay, and these are 1s orbital, 2s orbital, 3s orbital. These are the s orbitals. These are the p orbitals. These are the d orbitals. These are the f orbitals. These are the g orbitals, and so on. Okay, but our study is confined till here only. We don't go beyond this. Now, for value of L is equal to 0, we have only one s. Just check. L is 0, s orbital. Okay. Then if you move for value of L is equal to 1, azimuthal quantum number is 1, then we'll have all these values, this much, like this. L is equal to 2, we'll have this much. It goes on like increasing. Okay, so this table, have a look at it very carefully after the class also in the evening. Try to understand this chart. whatever I have explained in the previous slide, it is just over here a summary of what I have explained you on the previous slide. Okay? This will help you to understand the allowed subshells under different combinations of N and L, which are listed in this chart over. It can be understood that the 2D orbital cannot exist. We cannot have 2D orbital. There is no 2D. 2D is not possible over here because these are the forbidden combination of quantum numbers. We cannot have 4D. We cannot have 5D over here because 4S, 4P, 4D, 4F is possible. 3S, 3P, 3D is possible. 2S, 2P is possible. 1S is possible. Let me give one example now. For example, if you talk about an atom of an element like sodium, sodium atomic number is 11. I hope you remember. According to class 10 concept, what is the electronic configuration? Is it 281?
281.
281. Correct, no? According to class 8 or 9 or 10 concept, the electronic configuration of sodium is 281. Now, according to class 11 concept, let me just give an example first before explaining you the concept. If you use the what you call orbitals, then the electronic configuration becomes like this: 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. So add, these are electrons. These are electrons. This is an electron. These are electrons. This is electron. This is also electron. Now add this: 2 electrons plus 2 electrons plus 6 electrons plus 1 electron. What is the total? What is the total?
7.
11. 7. Who told you? Who's telling 7? It is 11. Are you getting
11.
it? So this 1s which you see, how many electrons are there in the 1s orbital? How many electrons? 1s orbital. In the 1s orbital for sodium atom, how many electrons are there? Tell me. How many electrons?
2.
2. So this is here. This is here. Okay. Which is the K shell, principal quantum number 1. Okay. Now this 2 and this 2 is for this L, where principal quantum number is 2. So in the second shell, total number of electron is 2 plus 6. 2 plus 6 is how much? 2 plus 6 is how much? It is 8. So if we add 2 plus 6, it becomes 8. So this 2 plus 6 is here, 8 over here. And then after that, in the M shell, there is only one electron. So value of N is 3. Value of N is 3. So we can see there is one electron. It is going to the M shell. So this is the modern concept of writing the electronic configuration. So I'll make you perfect after a few classes how to write electronic configuration of almost all the elements in the periodic table. It is very, very systematic. It is very, very interesting as well. So now, for the moment, I would like to stop my class over here only because the time is already up. But I have got a class in the afternoon. I'll continue from here only in the afternoon class. Just hang on over there because I need to take the attendance quickly. And then you can join the other class. Okay. So till here, when you get time during the lunch break, you revise for this. Okay. So I'll just record the attendance quickly. Let me record. Okay. Then only you join the other class. I leave this class after that. Okay. The attendance list is downloaded. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.